we talk a lot on my podcast. Even though it's about pop culture, it's also about politics and the state of the movement for LGBTQ rights. I know you've posted about the current
Oh,
crackdown on LGBTQ people and visibility and expression in media and politics and even in the music industry at times. Have you felt any of that pushback personally? And has it affected the way you create or the way that you present yourself? Hey, everybody. Welcome to Duke's Download. I'm your host, James Duke Mason. I am so excited because I have one of my favorite music artists on the planet, Z Machine, here today. I've told him that many, many times, including right before we started recording. So sorry to be too so effusive, but you are so incredibly talented. You're a multi-instrumentalist powerhouse with a voice that just commands the room and songwriting that cuts straight to the heart. Z, welcome to the show. I've been following your journey pretty closely, and what's really hit me is the stylistic transformation that you've gone through the last few years. I know you've talked about that, both externally with a whole vibe and sound, and internally with how you show up in the world. I remember not too long ago you posted about finally feeling more comfortable and more bold and more empowered to be your true, authentic self, and that really stuck with me. Your music's not only super radio friendly and listenable, it's also incredibly well written, beautifully produced, and performed with so much heart and power. It's always a treat. I love so many of your songs. The radio, I don't know what we're allowed to say on YouTube, effing myself, works, Living yours among them. By the way, okay, so I know I'm like already just like I'm hitting you with tons of info, but the way I discovered you was, and then I'll ask the first question, was I actually am friends with Kalechi, who you had a great song with, Everybody Wants It. And so I guess that was what, 5 or 6 years ago. And I delved deeper into your discography and I became such a fan. Um, First of all, thank you again for coming. How
hi. I wasn't sure if I should say anything because I know some intros they like to do their thing and then
well, it
they
was weird.
put
I
it in.
normally I it was almost like I infused kind of some question anyway, but I
It's
guess I
all
was just
good.
so
Hi.
overcome with enthusiasm. So
Yeah. Also, peek behind the scenes. There was like 5 seconds in there where you froze, and I was like, "Oh
uh,
God, what do I do? What do I do?" And then you came back, and I was like, "You know what? We're
yeah,
good.
all
We're
right,
good.
yeah.
Smooth sailing."
Well,
Hi.
I'll reincorporate some of the points into my
Mm.
questions,
Yeah, yeah.
but I just wanted to first start with like because I don't know I know a little bit about your background and how you got started in music. I know you're what's the right word, professionally academically trained, but how did your whole journey in music start?
How did it start? It was always kind of just the thing that I felt very, God, this sounds weird, but like just naturally good at. I felt like I didn't have to try as hard as like the people around me, like in music class and, middle or high school. Um, Rhythm and like melody and like pitch matching and things like that. They just felt very like obvious to me. And then when I realized that that like was not the case with everybody, I was like, oh, okay, I might be onto something here. Um, I had sung in choirs and things like that. I had done some, well, community theater. It wasn't like something I was really seriously pursuing as a career, like from early on. But in middle school and high school, I played in like a lot of bands and stuff like that. I started out playing drums, and then I started playing bass because then I could go up and I could sing also. And then, I started listening to like Pink Floyd and stuff like that. And I was like, wait, I want to learn how to do that on a guitar.
Out of
And so
curiosity, how did you
yeah.
go from singing in choir to listening to Pink Floyd? Because
Well, I
I
mean,
find that,
that's. I was like, go on, go on.
you know, no, 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 I was going to say, I think I find it so interesting. Like, because I mean, that's just kind of a dumb or like obvious statement, but there is so much diversity in terms of music. I always find it interesting because you have such a unique sound and style. I just find it interesting, like where those influences began. I guess that makes sense.
Well, I mean, the choir, I was like 8 or 9 years old. So, and then, when I started, trying to copy, the Comfortably Numb guitar solo. I was like 14 or 15. So there was quite a bit of development that went in there. I had, the iPod had been invented, so I could just kind of have all this music at my disposal. And I was going into like online like music forums and stuff like that where they would, rank lists of like, the greatest rock vocalists of the 70s or something like that, or like the all-time greatest guitar solos. And I would like look up those, then I would like search the song and be like, well, I disagree with that. But that's kind of where I started getting into like, well, let's see if I could play that. And
Hmm.
so I was very much interested in being a guitar player first, I think.
Really?
And as time
Why
went
is that?
on,
Was there about
I
the
don't know.
persona of
Honestly,
guitar players, or?
I think there was just something. It just kind of like it was very electrifying and exciting. Like I didn't know how these sounds were being made. It felt like magic
Hmm.
in a way. Like I remember there was this song called "Ledbetter Heights" by Kenny Wayne Shepherd, who at the time was like the 17-year-old blues guitar player, and it was just this 5 minute long thing where he's just sorry, I don't know if we could swear on YouTube, but like he was just tearing it up, and I was just like, how is he do? It was crazy to me, but like 'cause I couldn't picture how you could do that, and so when I finally started playing, I would like figure like, okay, these are the shapes you make. This is how you bend the string. This is the effects you put on there to get this kind of sound. And so that was just I was very enamored by that,
Hmm.
and but like I also wanted to sing at the same time, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to be the front man, and then also like, it was like that's so much responsibility, so I was kind of like not really sure which one I wanted to focus on.
Hmm.
And I think for the time being, I discovered a lot of for a while I was kind of tuned out of like modern pop music from about like 2004 to like 2006 or 7. All I was
I
really
just wanted to
listening to, I was
say,
listening to yeah.
no, but what's interesting about that, real quick, is I find this whole. I'm a millennial. I think I'm older than you, but I'm 33, and it's interesting to me how like part of this whole new generation of like Gen Z. I say this like I feel like an 80-year-old like observing like the younger gen, but like you hear about all these songs from the 70s and the 80s that are kind of being rediscovered through TikTok. And maybe one of the few benefits of TikTok is that like it does introduce it for all the pitfalls of social media. I feel like it serves a purpose and that young people are discovering music that they never would have discovered before, maybe, and
That
I think
is
it's
true.
interesting you as a young person discovered or were even interested in these previous eras of artists. It's kind of
What
uncommon.
can I say? I was ahead of my time. I, I say I was ahead of my time discovering 70s music in 2004.
Well, I mean, it was harder
Um,
back then. It's true. I mean, you really had.
it's
There's almost
true.
like you had to be intentional about it and
The
seeking
era of
out.
no, it's actually so true. I feel as though I value I valued music more than when I had to acquire it and seek it
Mhm.
out. Because now you can just pay, $12 a month and you have
Yeah.
every song that's ever been recorded at your disposal, which,
Yeah.
is a beautiful thing and can be very helpful. And if I'm trying to like find a song, that's certainly easier than it was than trying to find the one like user on LimeWire who was sharing one file from across the world that would take, 12 hours to download. At the same time, I was trying to, get that really niche, like Yes album that
Mhm.
like no one had. And so I would have to go and like find each song individually and then
Yeah.
hope they were all mastered the same. And then
Right.
I was really like anal retentive about how it was organized. I would like have to make sure they were all numbered correctly and in the right order. Because if they wouldn't go in the right order, I was like, well, this isn't the album then. So I
Wow.
was
I
kind
mean,
of a
well,
purist in that sense.
that takes some serious
Hmm.
passion and serious like interest in sort of
The kids these
the
days don't
artistic
get it.
integrity.
Yeah.
What, how did, and so I know you went to Berklee,
Hmm.
which is obviously, for those who don't know, one of the best music schools in the world, maybe. But how did you decide, like, okay, at the age of what, 17 or 18, you were like,
Hmm.
this is definitely what I'm going to do with my life. because I
Um,
find that I find that adventurous, courageous spirit. It takes some courage to say. I mean, you have a lot of talent, so it maybe what wasn't quite so scary as it might have been for some who weren't that sure of their abilities. But you obviously there was a moment when you were like, "This is what I'm going to do with my life."
mhm. Yeah, it's kind of just was like, well, this is the only thing I can really see myself like devoting my life and time to. That's I'm not going to be like faking it or being miserable doing. So it's just like this is I mean, I'll do things to supplement this passion, but like this is what it's going to be, and I feel lucky that my family was very supportive of that. Um, I
Hmm.
actually auditioned for Berklee as a guitarist, and I didn't get in the first time. So I went to the University of Denver for a year,
Hmm.
and I kind of started finding my voice a little bit more there. I was at the University of Denver as a jazz guitar performance major. During that time, I started singing a lot more. I would go to like open mics. I would use the practice rooms and like do like vocal exercises and kind of hone that. And I re-auditioned the next year for Berklee as a vocal major, and I got in. So, I guess you go where you are wanted.
Hmm.
And that's kind of and I'm glad, and obviously I'm glad that that's how that turned out. I cannot because I was a pretty okay guitar player, but having if I had gotten to Berklee with the skills that I had there, I would have been miserable. I would have gotten lost in the heat, and I probably would not be doing music. So I'm glad I did what I was doing now because it's like I feel there are so many more ways I can express myself and say things artistically as someone whose primary focus is, the voice and songwriting and
Yep.
lyrics. Um, and here's the thing, I can sing, but I think my strength is actually more the artistry than just straight up the vocals. I mean, I think the
Hmm.
vocals are there. I do what I have to do. I think I'm pretty good. But there are singers who are better than me who I think fuck, I'm just gonna say way better singers who have a lot less to say, and I think are not making music as good. So
No.
I think I
Well,
would say I'm primarily an artist who
yeah.
can sing.
Did you learn because part of your music is that the production is just incredible.
Thank
Is that
you.
something you learned in school, or did you just pick up that or
No. I
talent?
should have. I regret every day that I did not focus more on my production skills
Mhm.
and because I most of what I do now I had to teach myself later on in the game. I'm not the primary producer. I will produce all my demos. I will
Right.
write I will record as I write.
Hmm.
But I will usually take my demos to a collaborator or a
Yeah.
co-producer
Right.
who is more well versed in like engineering and production and different DAWs, and he'll or she will make it like sound more legit.
You're part of choosing the right people to work with is that you have a good sense of not only other people around you who are talented and finding the talent in people who can help you create what you want to create. I mean, that's that in and of itself is a talent, I would say.
Yeah. Vibe is very important to me when it comes to
Mhm.
that. Like, if someone's like, oh, someone could be a absolutely incredible producer, just a master of their craft, and if like the attitude is nasty, it's uncomfortable. Like, if it's not fun, like I don't really want to do it. I've been working with I mean, I've worked with a bunch of people. I've released songs with a number of producers, but I would say 90% of what I've done has been with the same person, just because I feel very comfortable to create. I think we've both pushed each other to do more. Like, I think both of our styles have evolved since we've been working together, and he's moved out of the U.S. since I've met him, and we still work together like over like Zoom. Because
Mhm.
I'm just like this is a really good vibe, and I think I don't think we're limiting ourselves. Like, if anything, I think we're like trying new things, and it's a good synergy.
What was the original uh sort of conception of your music. I mean, I actually, I mean, I again, I have quite a few of your songs on Spotify, but I'd be curious. I should have done this before this interview, but I'd be curious to go back and hear like your very first song that you ever put
Mm,
out. Because,
oh, that's okay.
well, I
If
mean,
I was smart, I would.
how different is your persona as an artist how different is it now versus like the way when it started? I don't mean like
Yeah.
how, I mean, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure most artists' first single or song is obviously not as polished or whatever as their latest material. But just in terms of, we'll get to the more recent years, but from sort of from the in the beginning, what was your artistic persona?
Mm.
That makes sense.
Let's see. I mean, if I was smart, I would probably get rid of my early stuff off of streaming. But I'm very much like, respect your roots. I was just kind of trying things out back then. I didn't really know. I was just like, I want to make something. I wasn't someone who just like burst onto the scene knowing exactly who I was. I mean, there were elements of me early on that are still apparent now. I started out in this like cover band back in college where we would just do these like glammed up pop like rock versions of like top 40 songs, and we had this residency at this club, and that's kind of where I really learned to like perform
Mhm.
and kind of who I wanted to be on stage, how I wanted to present myself in front of an audience. And it was and that has actually, I think, maintained pretty consistently through the years. But I wasn't really writing music as much back then. This was like in college, and it was I was mostly just like I just love performing. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm like, well, you can't just. Well, I mean, I guess you could maybe make a career out of that. But I was like, oh, well, if I want to kind of grow this, I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm doing. And I'm like, wouldn't that be cool if like the song that you were leaving it all out on the stage was your own? So
Yeah.
I really what kind of honed my craft and my sound there was just listening to a lot of music,
Yeah.
developing a level of taste for what is a good song, what you want to hear. Because really, my primary objective when I write stuff is just like, would I want to listen to this? Am I improving upon the silence?
Where did the 80s sort of, I don't know if you would categorize it this way, but sort of the 80s inspired like sound and where did that come from? How did you decide that that was what you were? I don't know if that's how you would
Mm.
articulate it or how that you're
Um,
going for it, but to me, that's how it sort of, not every track, but a lot of your music has like synthesizers and sort of and guitar and like sounds that you don't necessarily hear in a lot of like uh, you know, contemporary artists' music.
I mean, I don't know that there was ever like a conscious choice where I was like, this is my thing. But there is just a certain, if when elements of like that, era or style kind of creep into what I'm doing, it's really just because that I think that is really the genesis of pop music that as we know it today kind of came to fruition in that era. And I
Mhm.
still think in some ways its purest form, it's its most bombastic and like unpretentious uh version of itself. Like I
Mhm.
think a lot of pop music today is like it tries so hard to be like cool or like different and is not as I don't know, maybe not as successful in some ways. It's hard to compare, but there's just something about the style of writing and production of that era that was just so like going for the biggest dopamine rush you can get. Hit the highest note, get the hookiest hook.
Mhm.
And I think that really spoke to me in a lot of ways. Like those are the things that give me goosebumps, you know? Like I'm really not very moved by like a lo-fi, moody, apathetic teenager mumbling over like some grimy like bass and like a rip off trap beat. I don't know. It's just like that's just not for me.
Yeah.
Like there's a place for everyone, and I just think the stuff that I gravitate towards are the things that like punch me in the face a little bit
Mhm.
more. And that's not to say that like everything I do is like has to be like at 11 all the time,
Yeah, no,
but
you
I
have
think
some. I mean, it should have been yours. Not every song is like,
yeah,
euphoric, but like, I mean, you have a bunch of
mm,
songs that are slower and more sort of
yeah,
contemplative. But I
yeah,
love the tracks that are like you don't hear musical like that a lot anymore, where it's just sort of like and it builds and there's a crescendo and sort of like a you like a it's and
maximalist
you feel it
pop
in your
is
body.
not. Yeah, maximalism is like not really the thing right now. And I think that was just like the thing that got me excited to create because that was the style like that because that was the most fun to perform. I really think it all kind of stems back from being like, well, if I'm gonna be playing these songs and performing these, like, what am I gonna have the most fun doing? And a song like friggin' I don't know, Habit or Everybody Wants It is like
Mhm.
way more is like a blast to just like move around and like see the crowd get like hype for that, and it
Mhm.
creates, I think, more of a moment. But
What
also, but then you can also use that as like a vessel to say something as well.
Well, I know it's a tough question to ask any musician or songwriter, but out of all the songs that you've recorded, what is the one? Actually, okay, two questions. Number one,
Okay,
what's your favorite song that
of
you that
mine.
you of yours?
Okay.
And also, what is your favorite? What when you perform? What is this? Or when you meet people that are at a show, or that what is this? What is the song that most people resonate with? Would you say based on
Um,
your
Let me
reactions you get?
think. The one that resonates the most is probably the radio.
Mm.
Um,
Well, great.
I think that there is like I'm trying to like think of a way to say it without sounding like high on my own supply.
Oh, you should be.
Um,
You should be.
I think it is. I think the lyrics are just very universal in a way that is like I wrote it about something very specific that I was going through, but I have seen people take that song and like apply it to their own life in ways that are not what I wrote it about in all
Hmm.
different iterations, and I'm just like, oh, okay, well that's kind of what's amazing about art is that we get
Hmm.
to interpret it how we want it to be.
Yeah.
And because if I was just writing it for you to just like relate to my diary, then that's gets a little too specific. And um, so yeah, I think that's the one that I've seen resonate with the most people. What's the most fun? What do I enjoy the most? I think Good Boy is maybe like I have a lot of fun performing that one because it's like I really think that taps into my most like niche kind of demographic. It's like the opposite of the radio where it's just kind of feel good fun. That's the one where people like will sing along to it. Also
Mhm.
I'm in love with everybody is really fun because that has a lot of like fun. I mean, it's just I love the production on that one, but also it's like a lot of fun audience kind of call and response moments and it's very hooky
Mhm.
and I think it's a very good encapsulation of like my sound, and I think has a lot of room to kind of play vocally. So
Mhm.
I think those are my big three
Yeah,
for
I know, and
now.
they're all great.
Thank
I was
you.
I don't know if you'll remember the post I'm talking about, but I remember you did a post, I think it was last year, where you talked about how and you've been what, recording, performing for like at least 5 or 6 years now. But I remember you said like a year
Try
in the
like
last year or two,
12, 14.
right?
Yeah.
Well, putting out
Yeah.
material.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah.
6 years, right? 2020, 2019,
I
something
mean,
like
my
that.
first single came out in 2013.
Oh, okay. All
But
right. So you
but
have
I
to go.
but But I wasn't really dropping music consistently.
Right,
So, but that's a
right.
whole other story.
You
Yeah.
rose to prominence in 2019,
I would say
2020.
I kind of broke at the end of the pandemic.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's when I discovered you. In the last year, I remember seeing a post you did where you talked about how, even though you have been putting out music for a fair amount of time now, you've said that even just in the last couple of years, you finally were feeling like you were able to express yourself, not just like fully, not just musically, but in terms of your look, your identity. You said that you'd undergone a lot of sort of changes in terms of the way that you presented yourself to the world, and didn't feel as sort of, you felt more unencumbered to just be exactly as edgy or as expressive without any sort of without holding back than you did before. What do you think it was that changed, and why do you think that change happened more so in the last year or two versus when you started?
Trying to remember this post.
Well, just because
I
I think
think,
I think you
yeah.
did a video where you were like showing the metamorphosis you've made in terms of your look and your hair and your clothes. Like, I forgot the exact wording, but it was basically
Yeah.
something like, I'm finally feeling like I can be as.
Yeah. I think really what it is just that the moments that I feel like I've felt my biggest triumphs and like successes and like connections to what I'm doing have always just been when I follow my gut instinct and am my most natural self. Like I feel like people could give me like suggestions on how to market it or like be a little more like streamlined with my presentation or like social media online presence or whatever the hell I'm doing. Um, and yet every time something pops off, it's because I was fully just like being me, doing
Mhm,
my thing, not taking advice. And I'm like, I don't know. I think I know. Like, sorry, I think I know best.
mhm,
I can use a little help from time to time, but I know when those moments are. I think I've really kind of come to learn who my demographic really is.
mhm.
Um, I think the work is speaking for itself. And I don't know, I think I have a good perspective and I'm like, saying and like talking or singing about things that I think my audience wants to hear.
Mhm.
And and that's important to me to not just like put out music to make sound for validation.
Mhm.
Sure, a little attention is nice. That kind of keeps you going, but I'm like if I'm going to be doing this, I want to earn it and I want to do the absolute best I
Mhm.
can do, and I feel like I've kind of locked into what that is
Mhm.
lately, and I think that seems to be resonating nicely and it feels good.
I mean, I think part of that
Mhm.
seems to be anyway that you are an unapologetic queer artist, and you've been very open about that, embracing your full identity.
Mhm.
How has leaning into that and your authenticity, your authentic self, changed the way that you write lyrics, and especially around topics like queer joy, desire, and self-marketing? Are those
Um,
constant things that you try to take, like knowing your audience? Do you try to keep that in mind as you conceive
mm,
songs and material?
nah, honestly, no. I've never really done that consciously. It's the type of thing where like I don't want to say I only know how to write from experience, but
Yeah.
like my best stuff always comes from writing from experience. If
Mhm.
ever I'm like in a session and I'm like, writing about something that I'm kind of putting on a persona. Maybe I'm like writing for someone else. It's like,
Mhm.
it's a very different, when I'm writing for myself, it almost always has to, I would say 99% of the time, it's like from a firsthand thing. And that's how it ends up coming across better.
When did you come out? And did you come out before you started recording, or was that,
Yeah.
or was it
Oh, for
after?
sure. Yeah.
What?
It was like
So you've
sometime
always
in high
you've
school,
always
maybe end of high
been.
school.
I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
in my professional life, it's I've always been pretty out,
mhm,
and
yeah.
I've not really, been intentionally like I'm gonna make this queer. It's like
Mhm,
this is gonna be queer because I am. So
yeah.
that's just how it is, you know?
We talk a lot on my podcast. It's, even though it's about pop culture, it's also about politics and the state of,
Hmm.
the movement for LGBTQ rights. I know you've posted about the current
Oh.
crackdown on LGBTQ people and visibility and expression in media and politics and even in the music industry at times. Have you felt any of that pushback personally? And has it affected the way you create or the way that you present yourself?
Maybe my privilege is showing a little bit. No, not
That's
really.
good.
I'll
Great.
be honest. Like
No, it's great.
not but it's also, a large part because like I am not a signed artist on a major label on a national platform,
No.
which honestly has its benefits
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
this sense. Like I think I also don't, and I'm not trying to manifest, a roadblock for me or like a glass ceiling. But I don't know that I could handle it beyond a certain level. I've learned
Mhm.
that in recent years. I can be a very anxious person. I like doing what I do without a lot of limitations,
Mhm.
and also the world is and the internet is just a cruel, cruel place. And I'm a sensitive soul, and
Mhm.
I don't think I could take whatever Chapel Roan is going through. Like I just
Yeah.
don't think I could handle that. And maybe there are ways that could deal with it, but I don't feel a ton of pushback because I feel like the way I've operated is in such a way where the intended audience finds the music.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of moments where it makes it to the wrong side of the internet because those people are not looking for me, and I don't really want them to find me.
No.
And that's okay.
No.
I think that works out best for everyone.
I agree.
Mm.
Um, do you have, I mean, like, I know you posted about, I think it was when you were on tour, maybe last year, the year before, you were talking about a lot of the political, the political um, setbacks or legal setbacks, political setbacks that the community has faced
Hmm.
in the last year or two, and going to. I thought it was great that you went to some conservative leaning states, like when you were on your tour.
Mm.
And I mean, how do you feel about the situation that the community is in right now as a country?
I feel pretty bad about it.
Yeah,
To put
yeah,
it simply, no,
yeah.
there was, yeah, there was a moment last year. I was on this lineup on this tour, early last year, like February last year. And, we started in Tennessee and we went to like North Carolina and
Mhm.
where else did we go?
Was that a conscious
Forget.
decision to go to those places?
So I wasn't the booker for the tour. They reached out to me to join the lineup. And it
Right.
was, I love traveling to perform,
Mhm.
I feel like here I love performing in LA too, obviously, but I do think when it's a city that, doesn't get as many people coming through, they show up with a lot more energy per person.
Mhm.
So, when we were doing like shows and like Raleigh and like, Nashville. Nashville's pretty big, but still. Um
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I'm totally spacing on like some of these places we went. It was so many shows back to back, but it was a lot
I
of
mean,
like kind of middle of the country south
yeah.
type
I think
of
that was great that you. I mean, look, all these places
mm,
have. I've always wanted to go to Nashville. I've been in Memphis, but like, what's great about going to those places, on the face of it, you go, oh, these are conservative
mm,
places or states, but the truth is, in all these even in the most red of states, you've got these incredible communities of people who are, not even about party per se, liberal, conservative, whatever. It's just more about, you've got diverse communities, even in places like Tennessee or North Carolina or,
Yeah.
Alabama. And so it's great that you're going there and you're speaking
Hmm.
to them and performing for them.
Yeah, I find that the oftentimes the people of the state do not necessarily reflect their policies.
Mhm.
Um, or I don't know, if even if the majority of them do, or like, it's like, well, they did vote this in, there is a still a large portion of them who are community,
Mhm.
and they are not representative of the politics of where they live.
Mhm.
And I think you will find uh, progressive pockets just about anywhere you go.
Mhm.
It's just kind of a matter of how safe it is to be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes, it's not necessarily enough people to, like, book a show there, but um, every place I went there, it was like the sweetest, most enthusiastic, kind-hearted, softest souls you could find.
Mhm.
And even if it is in, like deep Florida, like
Yeah.
I think we tend to overgeneralize based
Mhm.
on, that one asshole senator.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
that's just not necessarily the truth for everyone.
No, absolutely. Even in like just the inverse in California, you've got
Oh, yeah, there's a
San
ton of
Francisco.
shitty people. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get 2 hours outside of LA or even an hour, and you've got Trump banners the size of like,
Oh, not even 2 hours. You
yeah.
go to Beverly Hills.
Well, right. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Very good point. 10 minutes away. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
So there, you're right. There's nuance to everything and everyone and every place.
Yep.
I'd be curious, not just because not so much of me. I want to know. I'm excited to know if you're working on new material right now, but more than that, I guess I'd be curious to know what subjects and topics and issues or thoughts have been going through your head where you go, okay, this might be something that I want to, put out there in terms of things that might make for subjects for your next material.
Let me look at the track list.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you do
Let
have
me
new
see.
material.
Yeah, I've got stuff coming through. So I've made a actually at first it wasn't a conscious effort, but um as I started writing, I realized, wow, I actually don't have any songs about like heartbreak or breakups or like a scorned lover like that because like honestly, for the first time in my life, I am like so happy with somebody.
Mhm.
Not the first time ever, but like I'm like a year deep into this thing and it's only just getting better. And I just feel like amazing with them and like to a point where it's almost like weird to me. But I'm not in a heartbreak headspace, which I very much was with the last EP. That was like that little piece of work was my therapy to get through that, and I think it worked. It worked pretty good.
Yeah.
But and this one, I'm kind of, it sort of explores the parts of my head and my thoughts and my life that are outside. Like now that I've dealt with that, what are the other things that are making up my day to day? And it's
Mhm.
like dealing with the dynamics of open relationships, the dealing with the weird body image we're going through as like a culture that's obsessed with like fucking GLP-1s, but also being like a kind of like a public person. Um, I have that one seat at the table is very much about how like I am no longer the young person in the room right now. But I'm still,
I'm going
you
through
know,
that.
Yeah, but it's really it's I've and in that sense I've kind of come to the conclusion that's like I only feel bad because the world is telling me I should feel bad
Mm.
about it. But like truthfully, like even if I'm not like A-list musician or whatever the fuck, whatever the heck, I am better than I have ever been right now. So, I don't, it's sort of like, why am I giving myself such a hard time? There's some stuff about like the sanctity of, queer spaces. I've got one about my parents' divorce. I've got one about like basically a fuck off to the government. It's like, all right, well you don't like us, you don't like looking at us. Fuck, well, I don't know, cut your eyes out, bitch. So it's a little darker, it's a little angrier, but I don't know. I'm a little tired. This is just my kind of thing where I'm a little tired of love songs. Not really. Like I
Well,
think I think
you've
those
written a lot of them in there, and you've written some great ones.
yeah.
And I mean, the
And
truth
it's
is,
the most universally relatable subject
yeah,
matter. So like I get it.
right.
And it's an evergreen subject matter, but I'm just like there are some discographies where literally every single song is about a relationship.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, let's get some new shit.
yeah.
I don't know.
That's not all
Like
that
it's
is about,
it,
right?
it
Right.
at a certain point it becomes like I don't think you have anything else to say.
Right. I know what you mean.
So I'm
I
kind of
know
like
it's funny.
challenge
It's funny.
yourself.
Sometimes on the same album, you'll have like two or three songs that have the word love in it,
Yeah.
or
No,
whatever,
exactly.
heart, whatever, heart, love, all those words are, have been overused, but
Yeah.
yeah, to say the least. But I don't mean you, by the way. I mean by other
Oh
artists.
no, yeah, yeah. I get
Uh,
the royal you. Yeah.
but uh, but no, when do you think that material might? When do you think the first of that new material may be
It's already Oh, I've been dropping
released?
it already. I'm like
Wait,
three
what?
songs deep
Well,
into this era.
okay, great. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I've been following your new material, but so it's gonna be a continuous drip, is what you're saying. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a
It's I'm in a place where it's like I thought I had to keep like pumping it out within like a very specific timeline, and I'm just like I have to just kind of accept that this is not how I work.
Well,
If
that
I
era's
want if
kind of dead anyway, where artists have to put out, I mean, from what I understand, it's not like you have
Mhm.
to put out an album or at one time. It's like, in a way, putting out content song by song or EP by EP is actually it generates more interest. It keeps that
Yeah.
seems a lot every 2 years or 3 years putting out, an album and then
hmm
that's it for the next 3 years.
Yeah, it's the type of thing where a extended um album site like song by song type of thing is maybe more beneficial only because with the attention span of audiences today,
Mm.
um you drop a single, you might get like kind of 2 weeks of hype about it.
Yep.
If you drop an album, you'll probably get about 2 weeks of hype from it.
Right.
So it's kind of like, all right, well, it really is not like economical or beneficial in that way to just like people are like, where's the album? It's like, well, we're making it work, but this isn't really like the easiest rollout for every artist. Like it's not everything is like made equal like that.
No.
hmm
Well, Z, do I call you Z or is it a Z machine
Whatever you want, baby. Whatever you
okay, all
want.
right. Z machine. I can't tell you. I'm a massive fan. I hope anybody who's watching who hasn't heard your music, or hasn't heard all of your music because you've got so much great music. I hope they
Mhm.
go and check it
Thank
out.
you.
Where can people follow you? What is the best way for people to follow you, buy your
It,
music, listen to your music?
I mean, if you type in Z Machine everywhere, ZEE Machine, 2 words, I should be the
Yeah.
first one to pop up.
Instagram,
Um,
TikTok,
yep,
YouTube.
I'm everywhere you can be found except for
Fantastic.
like Discord. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've made sure that I am probably the first Z Machine to pop up, and if I'm not, I'll take care of them.
I think I honestly, I last time I say it, but I really think you are one of the most talented musicians,
Thank
period.
you.
It's out there. And
You're
on
very kind.
vocally, as a writer, as a producer, as a performer, I have not yet seen you live, which really bugs me. I wanted to come to on the show on the second, but
Mhm.
I promise next LA show, I will be there.
I got
And
you. We'll see you
if
there.
5 or 6 years in, I should have seen you live by now. But I look forward to it, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. See you soon,
See
hopefully.
ya soon.
Thank you for joining me today on Duke's Download. This podcast is part of Pride House Media, hosted by me, Duke Mason, and produced and edited by Josh Rosenzweig. Original music composed by Nell Balaban. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And while you're there, leave us a rating and review. It really helps others to discover the show. I'd love to stay connected with you, so join the conversation by following me at James Duke Mason on Instagram and X, or by emailing me at questions@dukesdownload.com.